I make a motion to approve, or, no, I don't make a motion, approve the minutes of November 2024.
So moved.
Second.
I would appreciate, other than maybe if I have to say something, because I have to take minutes, so, yeah, so, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I
Okay,
second.
thank you.
All those in favor?
So just discussion,
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
so in the first bullet point, number 3, it says that, I made my presentation about the liaison position. It says she presented a model policy from Barrington. I had done that previously, but what I presented was the second draft proposal, and it says that in the next sentence.
Okay, I'm sorry,
So I would prefer if that just says she presented a second draft proposal.
thank you. May I have that?
Yeah.
And I'll fix it.
Okay.
And then I'll send it to Angela. Thank you. So they approved. Okay.
So I guess I would
Make
make
a
a motion to approve with that amendment.
Okay.
Second.
Okay.
Second.
All those in favor?
I'm abstain. I wasn't a member policy
Okay.
subcommittee then.
Okay. As a member.
Okay, and the next item on the agenda and to review and discuss a discussion of school committee policy requests and recommendations. The first one is to review and recommendations for the voluntary change of the elementary district requested by member Jessica Purcell.
Okay, so I presented this policy for some suggested changes to this policy for review at the May 13th school committee meeting. My intent is to ease the consolidation and transition process as we're closing an elementary school. This policy has existed before this time, but I wanted to make it more specific to the current position we find ourselves in. So the policy subcommittee has a draft of the policy that the changes that I made to the policy. It included striking a large portion of the first section. It was pretty much the same as the bottom section. I guess I'll open it up to you guys if you have comments or.
Number one, I appreciate that you did this work, because it's pretty thorough and it's concise, and I think you actually captured what you intended to do as far as your goal. So I think it's in good shape. I don't know if anybody else has any.
No, I didn't see anything that, I mean, it looks fine, it's pretty tight.
Gina, this will still have to go to John, right? If we do a policy change, he usually reviews it anyways for legalese kind of look, but I think it looks good otherwise.
So I just want to be clear, the first section is, the reason why they're the same is because the first one's just about voluntary change. And the second part is the elementary specialty. So originally when this is put in, you may just want to remove that language altogether, because the process, basically, I think what I hear you saying just is you want one type of, basically, you want elementary school choice.
Yeah.
From the parent.
Yes.
Right?
Just to
So
kind of
we could-
streamline it.
Right, it may even be better to change the title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
a lot of people can't find it because sometimes you don't type in the right word, it makes it a little challenging. But other than that, I think the transportation, I just want to make sure, for number 4, transportation requests will only be approved if A, daycare arrangements are made in the new district on an existing route with space available, or B, bus run to and from the school requested passes a scheduled stop with an established walking. In all other circumstances, transportation to from school adhering to the school's opening and dismissal times will be the responsibility of the parents and guardians. So I know originally somebody had brought up transportation. I want to make sure that that's still the language that you want. So it really is just other than my question about the specialty, removing that word altogether. Is that right? You don't want.
So you're saying, Gina, that, okay, or Jessica, it's really just a request of change about elementary, like it doesn't make a difference if it's for specialty.
And it's not year to year, really, is the big change.
It's not, what did you say?
You don't want it to be year to year. I have never moved a child back
Right, yeah, and that was my understanding. It had said previously, you know, you have to reapply every year. And like you said, I wouldn't want someone whose child followed another child to a school to have to reapply every year to that school. And so
And I
that was
think-
language I had taken out. There was also language about, removing children for disciplinary reasons. I didn't think that was a practice of the district anyways. I thought that was good to take out. But yeah, and I added certain things based on, about the consolidation, so, it still says in the opening, each of the 3 elementary schools has a unique specialty. And then it says, this policy sets guidelines for students to attend a school of choice if possible, while also addressing issues that may arise with the consolidation transition and adjustment of regional transportation lines. Because even before Hope Valley was closed, we were adjusting the district lines, and those can change a little bit every year.
Right, they won't change for students who are currently enrolled, it would only be for
Right.
anybody newly enrolled based on where they live, because sometimes people shift, you know, neighborhoods
Right.
that have younger families become sometimes senior families, and then they switch, so.
Right, for sure.
It would only change for newly assigned students.
Yeah, yeah. But it would, I think also what you're saying, we have to make sure this is in alignment with the transportation policy and any changes that happen to that as well.
Yeah, the hardest one always comes in with kindergarten, because the enrollment isn't as stable, so we have to wait till
Yeah.
July.
Yeah.
But typically, I mean, I'm gonna have John review, I mean, I think he was coming today, is he here? Did I miss him?
No, I didn't see him.
Cause he had asked me to print something for him, but I think overall, after he takes a look at it, he'll let us know. But, I think I understand, I think the content, we wanna make sure that they stay in. We may just wanna mention the digital form, cause people still email me, not that I don't enjoy the emails, but then sometimes I have to find them, and then I'm like, didn't we already do this one?
Like link to the digital form.
Right, so everything has moved to digital form, so they
Okay.
complete the form. Sometimes it happens with homeschool as well, like there's a
I don't know.
process in a form, but they still will email. But maybe here we can reference the link directly to
Oh,
the
so
form.
basically in
for
the
now.
policy, there would be a link to digital.
Just
Yeah,
say,
that makes
please,
sense.
you know, see link
Yeah.
to make it a little easier.
Yeah, that makes sense. I would appreciate that.
Me too.
Wherever possible, yeah.
Do you have like a specific recommendation for where that should go?
No, I'll ask John,
Okay,
cause you, but make sure all the legalese gets done first.
so I would make a motion that we send this to John for legal review, including placement of a link to the form.
Second. Make,
Can I also add that I'd like to make sure this gets on the June agenda for the school committee? I know we had discussed that. I don't think I have to add it to the motion.
If John can
Yeah,
swing it.
I think
Yeah,
that's
Yeah.
already
cause I
part
think
of
the chair had already made the
I
recommendation.
think that's already pretty
Yeah.
clear. Okay,
Okay, so Jessica made motion for legal review and to add link, right?
Yeah.
seconded.
And Donna seconded?
Yeah.
Okay, looks good to you?
So I was gonna say all in favor? Holly, you?
Yeah,
you-
all in
yeah,
favor? Sorry. I was just making sure
Okay.
everybody was caught
Yeah,
up.
okay, thank you.
Any against? Nope.
Hi, you're welcome.
Sorry. Okay. And do you wanna fold that into the transportation policy
yeah, so
after that?
this is, I requested this because we previously discussed it at policy subcommittee, and then it went to the school committee, and then it came back to the policy subcommittee. So, I'm not too clear on what the entire school committee wanted
From the meeting.
from
You're
the
talking about
meeting,
from the
when it came
discussion
back
at
to
the meeting,
us.
yeah.
I don't remember getting any feedback, they just said they sent it back to us, I think.
Yeah.
That's what I recall.
Gina, do you think you wanna go over the suggested change, cause the suggested changes we have came from administration and legal.
Right, it came from
So,
legal,
yeah.
so it was a cleanup of the policy cause it wasn't, there was some clarity around the daycare piece, and the two different buses. Because the last time it was reviewed was 2017, so then it was updated, but, it was member Palasante that asked you to go back to see if it was regarding, if this John's advice was no, but if the school committee could, you know, it's like, oh, if Gina wants to, get on the, actually, I'll be honest with you, I'm not gonna speak, so if I remember Colasanti, but in the minutes, if you go back to the tape, it was, she had asked if they wanted to review based on an appeal, so I won't put words in her mouth because I don't have it exactly right, but, as far as legal is concerned and the district is concerned, this policy is how we do the business. Hey, John.
Speaking of,
So this is already.
But they did add, the school committee, to your point, just asked that it come just back here for one more review, but legal and the district are on the same page with this.
By legal and district, okay.
I think it was the 2 buses that was the hang up for some folks. There's language added about, let's see, on the 3rd page, G5. Relocations will be approved as long as the following situations do not occur. And one of those is being transported on 2 different buses. And, you know, we have had tightness with transportation. That's been an issue. That's why I wanted to add a bus back during the budget process, because I've seen that happen. So I can understand wanting to limit ridership to 1 bus route in the morning and the PM, in the
We do let
afternoon.
them go on a different bus if it's on the same route.
Yeah.
I should say, they
No.
can go to a different stop, not the same, not a different bus.
Right, different stop on the same route.
Different stuff.
As far as just simple changes, I did notice we were changing to childcare in some places, but on the back, A1 and 2, it says daycare, so we could change that to childcare.
Okay,
just
Jess,
for
just
more
say which page you're on.
consistency.
Sorry, page 2,
Yeah, H1.
5A1 and 2, it says daycare, and I think it was supposed to say childcare. I think we're changing that in other places.
Yep, it's on, 5-2, you
Mine's
said,
crossed
right?
out.
Right there, Jay?
Oh, this one, I'm over here, I'm
You
sorry.
got it.
Okay, so we want
Okay,
to
make
change
sure
it
it just
to
says childcare, understood.
Okay, and there was, is that it, Jess?
For that, yeah.
Okay, so that's just a, what you call it?
Yeah, I can check for all the daycare, make sure they're like for childcare.
Okay,
Good
so-
catch, Jess.
Good, yeah. Okay. Daycare, childcare. Okay. Just to write on this and I'll look at it later.
I was also wondering, in that same section, 5A, if we wanted to add, this is any change in the location of a bus stop will be on a permanent basis and will only be approved if the change is for 5 days a week, both AM and PM runs. Should we add if bus capacity allows?
That's a John Anderson. Cause that's already comes to the equity issue.
Right,
Yes.
you have to have a bus, it's not a
Yes.
second bus.
So, yeah,
That's where I defer to John.
It does say later on in 2,
bus capacity.
bus capacity on a bus other is near the maximum amount.
Right. Here, Jen. You wanna, who's that?
I think I kinda just answered, I think it
Yes.
says it below,
Yeah.
so.
I think she answered her own question.
Another question I had at 4, the second paragraph, it says that transportation request will be rescinded when a student does not utilize transportation for 10 consecutive days. I know we had discussed that sometimes there's a sports situation or a summer job.
Yeah, ADs give us the list, so that the bus company gets the list of the athletes that are for the season,
So
so
you
that,
already have it?
Yep.
Okay.
they know that.
And so then my question was gonna be, if a kid doesn't ride the bus for 10 days and they don't have any notice from the school, do they contact the families before they?
Yes.
Okay,
The bus yard does that, yeah.
okay,
The bus driver does?
the bus yard.
Chair, we have a question from the,
Should we add something, to clarify? I see that, okay. Should we add something to say, there will be communication from the school, is that what you're saying?
No, I just was curious, it was
Okay.
just a question.
Alright.
Yeah, I think we should,
Well, she said we do.
But you don't need protocol and policy.
Right.
Policy is the overview.
policy, protocols, process, like how it's done.
you can add, if you want, unless you wanna do something like, communicate before, a child is removed from any bus communication, I mean, it's best practice, but if it makes everyone comfortable, we can add it.
I'm just saying, as a parent, and you're curious, you go online, you read it, and all the answers should be right there in the policy. It's just
Let me know
easier if we
if,
throw it.
wherever you're suggesting you'd like to see it, just let me know.
What do you think?
I think we should add that.
Right in that area?
Just make sure, cause Linda has it in a minute, so she answers.
Yeah.
Lucky
So
Linda.
I guess what we're discussing is, notification from the administration that if, your 10 consecutive days runs out and there's no notification.
It comes to actually it comes from the bus company,
Okay.
cause they have the attendance of the ridership.
So it'll be.
Families would be notified prior to removal from bus, something like that, simple, I don't know.
I think the bus company would notify the district and the family.
Okay.
They should
Both.
notify both of us.
That sounds good.
Notify district and family prior to
Rescinding.
rescinding.
If it's in the same paragraph, we might have to say it.
Privileges rescinded.
Ridership?
That's what they wanted.
I don't know.
Okay,
I
so
would-
what was the language
I
you
think
wanted?
whoever wants it should be clear
Clear
about what they
cut,
wanted to say.
yeah, thank you.
Good?
No,
she wants you to clarify.
Yeah.
Well, what Gina said was the bus company will notify the district and family if the privilege is rescinded.
Prior to ridership being rescinded.
Okay. That sounds better. Thank you.
Yeah.
Ridership.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you. I think we had a question from.
Yeah, I thought Kath.
I know, Gina, you had mentioned sports kids, but do you get a list like from the chorus teacher and the
Yes,
drama?
all the extracurriculars, yeah,
Thank you.
Good question.
we always check.
All set? Do we wanna vote to send this to John? With our,
I don't think, no,
No.
send it
No?
back to the school committee with these changes. Make a motion to send the transportation policy back to the school committee with these changes.
Second.
all those in favor?
Okay, unanimous?
Sorry,
That's right.
taking up all the room.
No, it's what
My
she
big
can
hair.
see. Chair?
Yeah.
I would like to acknowledge the people that are here. It's great to see your participation in this, your interest in this. This is very important. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
That's that one.
Okay, the next is review and recommendation of homework policy, and you had brought that up?
Yeah, so this one, I'm just gonna, we're just gonna need to table this because this was sent out to the SIT teams, and unfortunately, with the middle school SIT team, we were not able to review the homework.
Excuse me, Laura, I can't hear you.
Sorry, we were not able to review the homework policy as a team, due to the passing of a teacher. So the meeting that it was scheduled for, ended up being canceled. So this is just gonna have to get pushed until the next SIT
So
meeting,
Laura,
which
are you
is,
requesting just a table?
So-
yeah.
Do we have, feedback from the other SITs? It's just the middle school?
I haven't seen anything.
I have, because when Member Chapman requested it, we put it out to all the SITs, so I have the feedback from the high school and Richmond Elementary School. Charlestown Elementary School, I did not see anything from Ms. Poor. Other than that, they all asked to review, parents to review, and Richmond got reviews from both students and parents.
So we'll have to table it then till next fall, since the middle school SIT won't meet till then. Okay.
If I could ask if we're gonna put it back, I know, Laura, you had mentioned you were gonna share with me what you were hoping to look for, because, I know you, one of the things you had shared was that should elementary, middle, and high be separated, but I don't know if there's anything else or guidance other than it was just sent out to them for review or feedback, just vague, so if there's something
Yeah,
specific.
that was gonna be my
go ahead.
question,
Yeah.
Chair. is
Go
that-
ahead.
Yeah, no, because it'd be, as a policy subcommittee, I think it'd be actually good for us to know what kind of changes you're thinking,
Yeah.
you know, prior, so they can't, you know, especially going back to the schools, if it's vague, I mean, you might not get what you're looking for, so getting something back from the schools with very specific,
The biggest ask, I
feedback.
think, was the flexibility. A lot of districts are moving to handbooks so that there is more, student advisory voice in it. I think, Laura, you had also asked them to look at like the top performing school districts, so we reached out and got
Oh, I didn't know all
the
this. Okay.
policies, but, a few districts like EG have it in their handbook versus a policy, which they found was more flexible. But if we're gonna go back to SITs, I would just want a little bit more clarity so that, cause then they'll say, I've already done this.
And I believe any time in the past, I've been on this committee for quite a while, anytime anybody wants to review a policy, we get the recommended changes to discuss prior to coming to the subcommittee meeting, so we can give some thought to it. So if you would just give us your thinking on what you would like to see different.
Well, so I was hoping to have received more of a collective, the collective feedback from the different sit teams, because my feeling is that it's more along the lines of I think the middle school homework policy, probably there should be some variation between that and the high school policy. So it's really just kind of looking at that aspect of it and seeing if, there's things like that, or if parents, had some input on how they feel, like at the middle school level, the parent input is gonna be very different than it is at the high school level compared to the elementary school level. So I think having that collective response would be helpful to first kind of like delineate which direction to go and where, we should go with it. So that's really what my thoughts were on it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we'll make a motion to table this one, till the fall. We'll vaguely say that.
You can make the motion, Laura.
I make a motion to table it until the first sit meeting, after the first sit meeting.
I'll second that.
The middle school sit meeting.
All those in favor? Okay, it's unanimous, so you don't have to look up.
Thank you.
All right, the next one is kind of a heft. It's an AI generated products policy. I started working on it, and I hoped it would be a lot easier than what it's going to be. It's not gonna be easy at all. But I got some really good feedback today from our math lead here at the school, mathematics department chair, Mr. Main, I think it was. Yeah.
He sent it to it's very good feedback.
Very good feedback, and that's exactly where I was going. Like the calculator, kids are gonna have to learn how to use AI, but they're gonna have to use it responsibly. And it's definitely gonna have to tie into the disciplinary code with plagiarism, should they be found that they're using the AI in a ill way. But it also can be used in a really good way. I've used it to help my sentence structure, like he said. I almost laughed out loud when I read that, because I'm horrible at commas and punctuation and quotes and where they go properly. So once a kid, especially like middle school kids, if they use this, they can see it in front of them, and a lot of students are visual learners, so they can pick it up from different angles. I did write something, but it was a very vague outline for the AI proposed guidance, which reads as, and Angela emailed it to all you guys. I asked her to do it. Thank you, Angela, wherever you are, because I didn't want to create any kind of OMA violation. So but we need to, and I think this is gonna go through several meetings when I put all of this information together, with what I have here, and I have to ping Gina, because RIDE was supposed to develop something for the fall, and here it is, almost fall again.
Well,
in
the
a few
interesting
months.
thing about AI is that, like, right now, actually, our career in tech, we're working on a new coursework that involves AI, so
Good.
there's, we wanna experiment, Michael St. Jean, the superintendent in North Smithfield, is a technology guru and, is sort of leading the charge with the superintendents, to think about, and we've actually had, research developers from, Last Legal Institute review with us you don't wanna create policy too fast, because
Yeah,
Mhm.
you
that's
wanna
right.
make sure the kids and the adults can experiment, and then really it's more about the, sort of advocacy and understanding of those credible sources, and how do we make sure, more about like, AI can be useful, like a calculator, like a computer. The idea is, do you know the kind of question to ask, and do you have the content background to be able to determine if the information you received is from a good source, a credible source, so keeping those critical thinking, but, it's definitely, it's sort of remains in draft while we all ponder through a little bit more, but we wanna be we don't wanna penalize students when even the adults are utilizing it to be able to enhance some of the work, so.
There are other factors where, the digital, generation of photographs and images with, a superimposed face on it, that,
That's a crime.
yes.
That's a different kind, that's
Exactly.
a different letter.
So, we need to address all of these, but what I had sent out, and I'm sure, I'll just read it out loud, AI usage, and this is just a 6-point rough outline of things that I thought of, and I will take any help and information with this, because I wanna make sure this is comprehensive, that we start working
So
on
you're
this.
looking more like in the discipline code.
Well, we have to have a separate policy for AI usage, and we also want the staff to be able to use it. We can't just ban it from the school, that would be ridiculous. But it has to be responsible usage. So what I came up with was a purpose to ensure the responsible use of AI tools while protecting student identity, preventing plagiarism, and maintaining educational rigor. AI exploration, students and teachers are encouraged to explore AI applications for learning, provided they adhere to ethical standards. Plagiarism prevention, all submissions must be original work, AI generated content must be cited appropriately. Identity protection, student data and personal information must remain confidential in AI interactions. Parent involvement, parents will be informed about AI tools used in the classroom and have the right to opt out their children from AI-based activities. That will have to be discussed in great detail on what that entails. And monitoring and compliance, regular reviews and training will be conducted to ensure adherence to this policy. That's what I've come up so far. I kind of want to start at least working on a policy, but also I'm waiting to see what RIDE's guidance is, and we're kind of in this holding pattern for it in the middle.
And it would have to go in with the
Through
school
the
improvement
SIT
team,
teams.
because it's teaching and learning
Sure.
application.
Sure, so maybe the SIT teams could discuss it, if they think of it. Yeah, Jess.
So I appreciate you bringing this topic up. When I first came on the school committee, it was also something that I talked to Gina about, I talked to Mrs. Drake about. I don't know about forming a policy. I think the first step would be putting in a reference to our existing policies. So we have a responsible use of technology policy, that maybe there's a sentence or a reference in there. The plagiarism policy, K through 12, the disciplinary handbook, or what is it, the student
Code of conduct.
disciplinary, they have a high school one.
Yeah.
So I think that would be where I feel most comfortable starting, cause like you said, it's heavy lift, because AI is something that's literally unfolding right now. Yeah, it'd be great to protect students' identity, but we have no way to do that. That there's
No
no
way. We
possible
can't
way that we can say,
guarantee
here, use this, your data won't be taken from you, your identity won't be somewhere out there, you know, it's just not something that we can guarantee. So I appreciate the effort to want to protect kids, and a lot of these things are really important. But I think we need to start with what we have and add in, build from there. That would be my preference.
I agree with Jess, but I also would like to know, what's the matter? I would like to know what the teachers, it exists right now, and what are the teachers already doing about that? Because I think teachers should have input and review of all of this as well, because they're the ones that will have to implement it. So my thinking is to get the teachers' feedback on this as well.
And students.
And
Yeah.
students,
I was
and
excited
students.
to get teacher feedback.
Yes, I know, it's great. And
Yeah.
students, as Linda said, students' information. I mean, are teachers
They know more than we
making
do.
clear to the students at any level what AI actually is?
I'm sure the students are telling the teachers
Yeah,
what AI
that's
is
true.
at this point.
That's true.
They talk about how to recognize media sources and where things come from, and even, you know, they're talking about it all the time because it is so woven into their, Gina's nodding.
Yeah.
If you wanna go online to the most recent WELQ radio appearance, we talked about, we had 2 students on with me and, Mr. Whitaker, who discussed that very topic. Not AI, but more about how they discern all kinds of credible sources. Yeah.
Critical sources, yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. And separating fact from fiction and all of that, good stuff. Okay. And that it's not A1 as our current cabinet member thinks it's called A1. I mean, I think now she's starting to call it AI, anyway.
As a teacher here at the high school in graphic design, I have talked to Botany, we've collaborated on some stuff, and we are trying to teach the students, what is good, what's not. And then in my specialty area, Photoshop, InDesign, Illustrator, they have the capability to create things. And that's what I have to help them avoid. They need to be creating their own original work, not letting the Photoshop AI do it for them. So yeah, it is a big, wide open field that we really need to narrow down, like what's acceptable, what's not acceptable.
Right.
I at least know how to look into like the metadata of my students' Photoshop work. And I have had a couple cases where I've had to talk to students that this was not, done by you, and I can see in the metadata, and I pointed out to them, but it would definitely be helpful to have something in a policy or a handbook somewhere that tells them also that is plagiarism, just like, copying and pasting for an English paper.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, well, cause you can use AI to find out all of this wonderful information, but there's no footnotes, there's no references there, it's just a glom, and it lies to you.
Yes.
It will make stuff up out of thin air, so if you have any leanings, that's, yeah,
Absolutely, I will.
let me know. Thank you,
I'd
thanks
love
for the
to, work
discussion
with
on
you
it.
guys on this.
Ask you a question. Are you guys at, at the whatever level, are you guys at, like, say, RISA or something, is that something that's been addressed?
Yeah, a
The-
lot of
the
us, well, right now,
superintendents?
a lot of us are digging into the research on the Harvard Business and all of the, educational pieces. There's a lot of the summer conference work is gonna be just
Okay.
around this topic.
Okay.
But again, right now, it's a lot of exploratory, I think,
Right.
I'm one of the people, as an educator at heart, you have to do the inquiry-based learning first before you sort of put the demands on it.
Right.
But I think the biggest issue is making sure that they don't do anything that's criminal, or things that what does that look like plagiarism? Because listen, it's like calculator. Sometimes it's fine to use it, sometimes it's not, and understanding the differences.
Good.
So, this one where it's in process.
Yeah, it's in process, I thought I'd just get it out there and
Well, that's good.
shake the tree a bit.
Are
See
there
what
other
comes.
schools that have AI policies yet, or are they still in the
As
infancy
far as I
stages?
could find, North Kingstown is discussing it, but they haven't they're also waiting on RIDE, and it feels like a lot of the schools in the state are waiting on RIDE, is that?
I don't think any of us are
correct
waiting on right. I think
No.
more of us were all sort of thinking through, like I said, I think our go-to right now is Superintendent, St. Jean. because he was a technology director, isn't very much involved, so like everyone has their expertise. He's been working on a draft policy, even they haven't finalized, cause it can be, once it gets into the hands of like the school improvement and stuff, people get worried, and I think the conversations are good, which is the point, right? Shake the tree, see what you can think through and make sure that, we're sort of instructing, the best practices right now that we know.
Yeah. We'll keep working on it. Good, the automated call-out policy is the next thing on the agenda. Hold on. We gotta get back to that other. I didn't print my own notes out. I was considering, I was proposing adding a number 7 to our, here it is, automated call-out policy that says something to the effect of bond referendums and budget votes issued to the community are limited to 2 communications using the automated call-out system. It was just a lot last time. The last time there was a budget vote, there was a lot, between emails and phone calls and texts.
This is the call out, this is just phone
call-out.
calls.
Yes, I realize
I
that.
haven't done phone calls in a
No,
long
she's
time.
not, she's,
Okay.
she doesn't do
So,
phone calls.
yeah.
Unless it's a school cancel, we always do it for school cancellation, unless there was one time I could not get to a phone, cause I was at a town council meeting, and, Sean Cole did it for me, but, typically, that's the only time we use phone. Now that we have all the other options, parents request, but this is one I would just be careful, because the communication, people have asked for more, not less.
Right.
Honestly, this was one of Louise's, policies that she wanted me to look at. I personally think the towns should take care of it because they have the entire voter roll. And if there's, that's just how I feel
Yeah, but
about
that-
it. If
but
there's-
There's
not-
other,
that's
there's
for
voting
laws
and-
around that, so I'll let the
Yeah.
lawyer jump in on that one, 'cause
Yeah,
that's,
and Louise and I have talked back and forth about that. It's an additional cost to the town. Forget the laws. It's a cost, and I don't think the towns wanna take on that burden.
We're off topic, that's
Two.
that's off agenda topic. That's
Well,
about.
so the automated, I just wanna make sure, that the automated call-out system
Yeah.
is online, so it says that, it's to enhance the safety of the school community, make use of automated,
Yep.
so cancellation delays, these are the emergency kinds of stuff, like, whooping cough, we've had cases, we've had to do phone calls for that.
Yep.
We have to, by law, the law requires us to do student absenteeism, so this is specific to phone calls.
Mhm.
But this is are you saying, instead of saying what we're doing it for, cause there's a lot of things we don't do it for.
No, she said specifically add number 7 so that you didn't call people to remind them of a bond or vote.
No, I
More
didn't
than
say
twice.
that.
More than twice. Yes, you did.
I said, well, of course, please remind them of the bond or a vote that is
But she
issued out
doesn't use the
from the
call
school.
out for that, that's what she's saying.
How do we get those calls then?
You didn't get them from us,
No.
we did emails
They do
and,
emails,
and text
Emails.
messages, we do the text
Text
messages.
messages.
I got
Okay.
phone calls
Which is
too.
like part of the opt-in.
right.
You opt in to receive those.
Right, I can't give that to you unless you opt in.
But is that different than the call outs?
Yes, yes.
Okay, what's the other system called?
That's our student information system.
Oh, so there's 2 different systems?
Yes,
Well, automated
Okay.
call out is for emergencies usually, that's the purpose.
it's very limited.
It's kinda like your
Yeah.
red alert, your
Yes.
towns kind of thing, but it's supposed to be for communication that, like we said, we had a whooping cough incident last summer, there's cancellation, wind, delays, anytime things that are, we one time, we lost the water at the main campus, we had to dismiss early, things like that.
So it's more emergency based.
But that's the purpose of the call out.
Right, that's the,
Okay.
which is
Oh,
different than the.
Should we just table it then?
I would make a recommendation to leave as is, I don't think we need to.
We can leave it as is right
I mean,
now.
at this point.
I will
Yeah, it
discuss
sounds like
and,
something different.
Yes.
yeah, thank you for clarifying that.
I will say for the record, I'm not in favor of limiting the school district and how much they can
So just
communicate.
Yeah.
remember, you have a membership of 6.
Right.
So you can't go outside unless it's back on the school committee agenda, cause then you go to 7.
Right,
Cause you had said you were gonna,
talk to
No,
Louise.
no,
Okay, I just
yeah,
wanna make
no,
sure.
I know what you're
Jessica,
saying,
could you
I
say
got
that
you,
again?
I got you.
So I was saying, you know, just for the record, I'm not in favor of limiting the school district and how they can communicate with parents and families. I don't think that's something we wanna do.
For emergencies?
For emerg,
Yeah,
Well, no,
Yeah,
for
right.
what Polly is saying.
the last bond vote that we issued out to the community, we were counting them, cause we were stunned by the amount of emails and text messages and messages. We stopped counting at 16. That's a lot of energy, time, you know. I don't think we need 16 messages to remind us to go vote on a bond.
I don't send 60 messages
But
in a
there's,
day.
I know, but it was over the course of a week or so, and it was emails as well as text, as well as,
well, we can look at that.
so, yeah, I was just like, honestly, to be honest, you get to the point where you're like, again? You know how somebody keeps calling you over and you're like,
I
what,
think-
again?
From my understanding,
So.
the problem, as talked about by other people, is that some people get those messages and other people don't, if they're not on the list. So the problem I heard was more about, is this okay? But I think if you wanna be on the list, you get on the list, and if you don't, you get off.
What if you don't have kids in the school?
You can still get on the
You
list.
still can.
You can
opt
still
in.
get it. Is it
Yeah.
like posted somewhere or something?
Yes, there's a district form online.
I just think it's more comprehensive if the towns do it. They have the entire voter rolls, and they could send an automated call using the entire voter
This is
roll
the
in
school
each
committee.
town. Yeah, I know,
So.
but we'd have to talk to our town reps and,
You've got a question for me, Amy?
yep.
So you received, what you estimate about 16 calls or emails? I mean, who did they come from? I mean, they had to, you must have been able to identify the source.
Yeah, Jean,
They didn't come from the school district, did they?
yes.
I'm sorry, it's point of order, that's not what.
I was gonna say, I thank
Yeah,
you, I've
no.
been trying to do that, and I was.
Yeah.
So just, you're gonna.
Yeah.
You're gonna have that another.
And this is the call out, specifically it's the call out system, not, and
Okay.
it's not talking about the, what you call, it, the emails, we can discuss that in another meeting.
Okay, so good discussion about that. And, yeah. Videography, photography, and audio recording policy. I had requested that we add to the opt-out provision, something in the middle, where if you have a kid in the school, as it stands right now, if you have a child in the school and you opt them out of any photographs, they cannot be in the yearbook, they cannot be in any photographs. Except, in my instance, I'll use my instance, I'm fine with my son being in all that stuff, I just would not like the school to publish his image on the internet, that's all. I feel like it's my right as a parent to be able to publish his image in a closed Facebook area with my family and friends. And I just wanna I wanna do what I can to protect his right of privacy. But I want him to be in the yearbook and every other thing that we went through graduating here. Yearbooks, class photos, friends taking pictures. Yeah, so I was considering, rewriting that, and I think,
I just has a, this is the form that you, when you're a parent, you see this at the beginning of the year, you have to sign off.
Yep.
So this is, I think this is, this goes to the FERPA, right, when we have to, the opt-outs and the video photography. John asked that I have a copies for everybody.
yeah. John, is there a way to just limit the opt-out to publish on the internet? Social media?
I'm not exactly sure how you would do that, in that if something is out in the public domain, there's nothing to stop somebody from putting it on the internet. So I'm a little confused in terms of what you're doing. what we do right now is, the document that has been handed to you
Yep.
is a page out of, Gina, correct me if I'm wrong, this is in the annual report that's sent out to all families
Correct.
in August.
Yep, and then it's in the annual report, and it's in August, correct, and then it's also online, and, it's one of the sign-offs in the Power School.
Yep, so, we inform families in a variety of ways. And if you look at the bottom paragraph in the lower left-hand corner, just above the box, okay, you will see exactly what the law is. Schools may disclose without consent directory type information such as student's name, address, email address, telephone number, honors and awards, date and place of birth, height and weight of athletes, grade level, photographs, participation in officially recognized activities and sports, and dates of attendance. However, schools must tell parents and eligible students about directory information and allow parents and eligible students a reasonable amount of time to request that the school not disclose directory information about them. If you wish to opt out from the disclosure of directory information, please complete the form at the bottom of the next page and return it to your child's school by the end of September, or within 1 week from the date of new student registration. So if somebody wants to opt out of providing that information, all they have to do is fill out the form and say, I want to opt out. So that's your current policy, and your current policy is consistent with federal law.
I think what Polly's thing is, I'm the yearbook advisor for the high school, and every parent that I reached out to, and I noticed they had a photo taken, when I contacted them, called them, emailed them, the same thing she just said, they thought, oh, I thought that was social media. No, please put my child's picture in the yearbook. And I have not had one parent get back to me and say, oh no, I don't want them in the yearbook either. So just, is there like a way to have it be like a checked box that I want them to be in the yearbook? Cause I don't know what it looks like in Power School, what the parents are checking off. You would, cause you have a child, I don't know what that looks like. But they are also under the same impression as you of, I want my kid to be in the yearbook.
And let me suggest then, if the parent will send you a note saying that my child can be in the yearbook, then the child.
They do, but I also don't always connect with every one of them, and I have had the case where there have almost been seniors who didn't go into the yearbook for their senior year. And then finally, before it's gone to publication, the parent has been like, has said yes,
Yeah.
put them in
But
the yearbook. That would be so, that would be tragic.
And let me say two things. One, seniors in high school should take some responsibility for themselves. If they're over 18, they don't even need their parent's signature.
Yeah, but not all,
Number
there's
one.
not all of them.
No, but I'm indicating that if we're not talking about kindergartners and second graders. The second thing is respectfully, there are parents who don't want their child's photographs in the yearbook, and they will not frankly be interested in explaining to the school why. And the reason why
Nobody's
that
asking
provision
them
was
to.
put in, the reason why this provision was put in was to protect victims of domestic abuse. And the victims of domestic abuse do not want to have to come to school and say, hey, I've been beat up and I'm hiding from my spouse, so, please don't do this or do this or so forth. They just send in the opt-out form and they're done. I have no idea how many opt-out, what the reasoning is behind the opt-outs here in Chariho. I will tell you that the opt-outs in Chariho are hugely disproportionate to other parts of the state.
There's more
I
people
asked,
there's more people who opt out here, John?
yeah, I asked Gina, and Gina says we have about 220 opt-outs. When I was representing Pawtucket, which had at that time 3 times the enrollment, there were probably 15. The number is extremely high in this district. I think in part because I will agree with you that parents don't necessarily understand the consequences. Going to your point though with social media, the school department does not we have a website. We do not, as a school department, have a tremendous amount of social media out there. I wanna be very clear too, we don't, and this school committee does not control the PTAs. The PTAs wanna do something, that is up to the PTAs. It is not the role of the school department to tell the PTAs what to do. They are separate, independent organizations. So if the PTA has a Facebook page and the PTA takes somebody's picture and puts it on Facebook for the PTA page, we have no control over that either.
I understand that, I'm just, again, just looking at the school portraits, they had a school portrait taken. So for the most part, most of the parents are getting back to me and saying, oh yeah, I want my kid's picture in the yearbook, but I don't want them on social media. So I just was wondering, if there can't be like a checkbox, like, yes, it's okay to put my student's picture in the yearbook?
Yeah, I'm just trying to,
Well, first off, I wanna,
just because of the work that I've had to go through to every year to have this conversation. And I also know there's a teacher on the other end putting in extra work. And just checking one box or something could reduce the amount of work on both our sides.
I guess the point I will respond by that there is an administrative burden in terms of doing that. We're hearing from the yearbook, Little Compton, which has one school with 210 kids, spent hours debating not pictures, but phone numbers. And do I want my phone number in, and do I want my phone number out, and can we have a checkoff for phone numbers? And they, I don't know what they're doing now, but for a while they were, and somebody, the school secretary, Angela, I'm not, they're a tiny little district, so they don't have a lot of people, but somebody had the job of making sure that whenever there was a request for directory information, that yeah, we can give this phone number out to this family and not to that family and so forth. And the people who get upset then about that, the phone numbers, was the PTA. So if you wanna go down the check off the box, the school committee can do something like that. However, be prepared for other groups. Phone numbers will be next. I think people will also be upset if they learned, for example, here in Chariho, that there's a politician who collects all the names of the graduating seniors and their addresses, and then sends them out congratulation letters. And people might be not pleased, about that situation. Are we gonna have a next checkout? So can you do some sort of checkout? Yes, but be aware of the administrative costs. I think that, going back to the point, again, students over 18, they just need to give the school a note. Perhaps something can be done, and I would ask Andrea Drake about it, at the time that kids have their picture taken. Give them a card to take home to mom and dad to get it signed if they're not 18, or they can sign it themselves if they are 18. And then we have them. Somebody still has to yes, no, yes, yes, no, and so forth. But I appreciate what you're saying. I just want everybody to understand the door that you're opening, and the next door will be phone numbers.
Linda, you had your.
yeah, I was, I guess, Polly, you had originally, what you had entertained was the idea of the whole internet thing, and that seems, now we're kind of talking about yearbook. I would be upset too if I thought that, I opted out. Maybe parents don't really understand when they're opting out, what they're opting out from. So, I mean, maybe that's an issue that we have to look at. I think that's, I don't know how that's communicated. I like John's idea. So in our high school, we did have, once the yearbook started getting going and the kids were working on it, we did have students and or parents just automatically have them sign off if they wanted their kids' information in the yearbook, whether it was the portrait or even pictures like from sports teams and things like that. 'Cause that's different than what I think the opt-out was meant to be. So.
I think you had.
Is the form a federal form or is it a Chariho form that you fill out? Can we edit the form, or No.
The law is, the law is there, it's just,
Right.
we have responsibility to remind you that you have the ability to opt out. Most districts don't have
There's
parents
no
that opt
opt-out
out.
form?
The idea, it's a check off, so that every
It's just
time, so when we have a media event, we have to go on, anyone who can't be photographed, then they get placed in different sides of the area, the reporters know that they can't take photos. The difficulty, I mean, and I agree, I want, I understand.
Management
It's the management of each event, and then who's taking the photographs doesn't necessarily know what cannot be on Instagram or social media. We don't have a communications department. You're looking at her, but, my thinking, to John's point, is really more of the process. So like when the yearbook flyers go out and say, this is a time where if you've opted out, your child will not be in the yearbook unless you, and then you can add something like a check off. Or when they're going to the studio, they've got to give their little sheet. They sign,
That's what we
the
did
yearbook.
anyways, as a secondary.
But other than that, you're looking at,
From what I
Again,
recall,
I reiterate, there are a handful who don't want their picture and they don't wanna get
Right.
into a discussion.
Can I just finish before we move on? So just, I can appreciate what you're trying to do. I think it makes a lot of sense that you don't want your kid's photo out in the open so much as in district-related communications. But I just don't know how to make that happen in a way that's not burdensome. I don't know yet.
I
But
just think it would be less burdensome. I recall, filling out the opt-out form at the beginning of the year, and just having a secondary line saying, I only opt my child out of any internet publications for the school district. I think it would take you could just whittle that pile right down and focus on the kids who, say 200, you might whittle it down to 75 kids who actually need that anonymity, and they need, and then you can it's easier to kind of navigate around. We know these 75 kids, we can't take their pictures, we can't publish anything of those, because like she said, I have met several parents who were like, yeah, I opted out, but I want my kid in all the class photos. And this is in elementary school too, elementary, middle, high school. My middle schooler got after me. He's like, Mom, I want to be in these pictures. You got to call in and tell them I can be in these pictures.
So what do they do? Like if there's a group picture, he has to,
Yeah.
they say you're not in it, or he has to say he have to do it on his own?
exactly.
The teachers have to
know.
They get the list.
Yeah.
They get
Because a lot of times the kids don't even know.
Yeah.
They're on that list, high school kids, yeah.
Yeah, we've had kids in the chorus and then, like John's point, that Chariho has more than I've ever seen anywhere else.
Can you change the wording or the policy so that it basically excludes, it wouldn't be applicable to, yearbook or like those type of, to the stuff that goes into the yearbook? I mean, couldn't it just be something that's
Yeah,
simple?
you have to give people an opportunity to opt out of the yearbook, because again, there may be people here who are here for domestic domestic abuse, or I can think of one relocation case.
And I'm
that
familiar
wanna
with
be
that.
out.
I've done this since my kids were little in school, and there were kids who knew they could not be in the yearbook. We didn't put them in the yearbook. That was the way it was. And I'm just saying that, like, as a parent, I just wish there was an option, like, oh yeah, I don't want my kid in photographs or anything, but yes, I want them in the yearbook. They don't have to tell me why or anything like that.
I don't think necessarily it's the profile, I think it's candid.
I'm sorry?
I think the parents that I have talked to, the concern is that they don't want their child in candids. So like
Candid
that
pictures.
one photo that maybe you've selected is fine. So that's why it gets tricky, because you can't necessarily guarantee, because people submit photos too, so you've gotta be mindful of. It's it's about liability. It's about, cause it just takes that one photo. And that's why these things are in place, because, somebody gets placed in a photo they're not supposed to be in, and. just for the.
So if I could just clarify, this paper, Ms. Picard, that you passed out, this is what the parents sign.
So it's a digital sign off, but.
It's a digital.
Yeah, we
but
put it
this
in
is
our
what they
annual
see
report.
when
Yep,
they sign.
yep.
So they don't see this policy decided, so to change the policy, when they're sitting and signing this, they're not gonna see what might be added into the policy. Could this digital sign off simply have a disclaimer on it that says, in opting out, you are opting out of the following activities?
I think it does say they'll be
It
opting
does
out
say
of the
it,
yearbook.
no, it says it, yeah, it does say it on the
Yeah, I
digital
didn't read
form.
the whole thing.
Yeah.
but it
Well,
was
that's what
parents
happens,
sit down
they
and
don't
read the
read
whole
it,
thing.
and then I've had seniors
But I
that
know.
are graduating, have had a senior portrait being taken, and then I noticed when the parent asks, oh, did I buy a yearbook? I look and I'm like, yeah, but your kid's not in it,
I
you're on the do
understand
not
that.
photograph list.
I taught also, and I know, and I think you just said this, Mr. Card, that it does become, on the other end, as a teacher, you might get 2 kids in class, I taught elementary, you might get 2 kids. I'm not always with my class, or I wasn't always with my class when there were people taking pictures. So if I was the one responsible to say, Bobby and Joey can't be in pictures, but it was done during my non-teaching time, and I wasn't there to supervise, it can get pretty dicey. So it is hard to put all the responsibility on the teachers, but somewhere, I think, somewhere, just something big, bold, italic, colored print or something, say, this is, when you opt out, this is what you're opting out of. With my own son in his school, what I used to do, we just got a very simple form that said, I want my kids' pictures taken, I don't want my kids' pictures taken. And I would say, he can have his pictures taken, I would write it in, I don't want anything to go out on social media, but I would give permission for anything for in school. Being digital, you don't have that opportunity to handwrite something in. But
Well, that's basically what I'm saying is, when you get that opt-out form as a parent at the beginning of the year, you have the yes and the no, and I would like that one little right in the middle just to say, hey, don't worry about my kid, just don't put anything on the internet, because when it goes from the school camera onto the internet, that's a whole different function. If it's going in, the yearbooks, everything that we did as kids, our candid pictures, class clown, all of that, fine. But people who have ill intentions target school district websites, and they look for kids on those websites and on Instagram, on Facebook, whatever children's pictures. Frankly, the PTO Facebook pages too. I worry about my kids being on those. I don't put my kids on the internet a lot. They probably put themselves on there now that they're older, but that's up to them. That's their decision.
Instagram account, the website, they're private as well. Sorry, I was talking we were talking, just about the social media I know is private. She was just asking me that. The accounts,
Like
the
how much
social
is,
media.
how much is things being put on the internet? I don't.
So, there's no, I mean, when you say school camera, a lot of the kids even in yearbook, they use their cell phones and then they're digitally transcribed. It's just a matter of whose liability is that?
Right.
Yeah.
Because that's a dangerous game to play.
No photo means no photo.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple.
Is there a way that students have to obey that, opt out? Obviously
But
teachers.
they don't know about it.
Right.
Not all students know
Teachers.
that they're on the do not photograph list,
Yeah.
and it's also like private, you can't go around telling
Right.
kids that, oh, they're on the do not photograph list, you can't take their picture.
But that's just another complication to this, is that students could take a photo of another student, I understand
Right,
what
but
you're
if the
trying to do,
photo is
and
in
I can relate, but
our document,
it's
then
just
we
very
become
different.
liable for it.
Yeah.
I just have one comment, and I feel like this is definitely worth more conversation, but also feel it's a lot of responsibility on parents to understand what they're signing and have conversations with their children, because I feel if you're you know, if you have that perhaps concern of these things, you will take the initiative to maybe reach out and understand the language more, or have conversations with your senior. I feel like if we are teaching our kids to be mindful of AI and all of these other things and what they're assigning as they progress in life and become adults, then they need to, we also need to match those actions and make sure we're understanding what we're assigning.
Yeah, it's just, when you sign it, it's either there are absolutely no pictures, or the school's allowed to put them on the internet. Like, my son's in the culinary program, and they're very good about not catching him on camera when they go through the kitchen. It's fine, it's cool, but it goes on Instagram. That's, people all over the world can see that. So I'd rather just limit it to this area where he lives, because he's underage. And I think that's, a lot of parents are thinking that, like, they just want the same experience for their kids that they had in high school with all the pictures. And just be concerned when the district is putting out an internet publication or video or picture.
But who's putting that Instagram out? If they're taking the
Chariho
pictures.
Culinary.
Right, they have their own Instagram.
Oh, okay. Is that
So,
private as well?
it's not private, no, that's why they have the opt-in, so
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
a recruiting tool, so the
Yeah,
program,
sure.
put out, the
I
Marine
think
Tech
it's on
has
that
one.
list. I don't put them on my.
Right,
graphic design
if
page.
they're opting out, they don't go
Yeah,
on the
absolutely
Instagram list,
not.
but we do use it as part of recruitment.
I think this is bigger than us today.
I think so. We had a
There's
good
lot to-
talk about it
lot to
too.
consider.
Okay.
Are there any districts that have, I mean, maybe that's a way to go, look at this.
Little Compton did it for a while with phone numbers. They didn't have problems with the internet or pictures. They had problems with phone numbers.
But I'm just saying, maybe there's a policy that's a little bit.
I know they did it for a while, but even in a school of 220 kids, it became an administrative headache for, in that case, the school secretary, keeping track of whose phone number could be given out to the PTA and whose phone number could be given out, you know, because a parent was trying to put together a
We went
list of
through the same
kids.
thing here when my kids were in elementary school. Our PTO, I was PTO president, and yeah, they wanted to put out a directory, and it included addresses and phone numbers, and that was totally like, if you were volunteered and you signed in to be in that, it was opt-in, you were in that directory, and if not, you weren't. But again, back then I was even doing the yearbook, and they were two separate things.
I understand, the other thing I will caution the school committee is that, and I appreciate the yearbook, and I think there are some workarounds. There's an assembly of all the seniors at some point during the school year, in the beginning of the school year, where Ms. Drake lays out the expectations, and even then, a form could be passed out, and I think that it would resolve a lot of the cases. Simply check off if you want to do this and put your birthday. Sign it, put your birthday, and then you can simply sort those into, piles. And the kids who aren't 18 yet, then those kids gotta be followed up on. But, I've heard that we have yearbooks now in elementary schools.
Yeah, we have for a long
We've
time.
had them for a while, John.
We've had for a long time. I did them, my kid was 24 and 22, and I did the yearbook for them.
We don't have these things. But, what else, all I'm saying is line drawing is always very difficult.
I'm
But I
wondering
think
if,
that's kind of what I'm asking for, it's like what you're saying, a form that they,
It's a policy discussion.
Yeah, and my response is the place to give out the form is, when Andrea has the assembly in the first week of school, this is when the prom is, you gotta behave, boys and girls, you think you're gonna go to the prom. I'm sure she has an assembly like that. And by the way, there's a blue piece of paper coming around, you wanna make sure your picture's in the yearbook, fill this out, put your date on it. And if you're not gonna be 18 by June 1st, you gotta get your parents to
yeah,
sign
she
it.
actually has the assembly at the end of the year for the 11th graders going into the 12th grade.
Then do it then, do it then.
Yeah, cause she goes over about their senior portraits.
Right, and while they're doing that, just now everyone's got a piece of blue paper. If you're gonna be 18 by June 1st, 2026, sign it and pass it in today, if you want your picture in the yearbook. If you're not gonna be 18 by June 1st, 2026, bring it home, get your parents to sign it and turn it in.
I don't know, I just think I just think it would take a lot of burden off of the administration and the teachers, the staff, just to have that one differentiation in there. So parents could say, oh yeah, all this stuff except don't put it on the internet. What?
Is there a disclaimer, like, opting out, be aware that your
That's what she
child
was
will not be in any photographs
Well, that,
in the yearbook, just so they know when they're signing that?
Yeah.
they know, it says
just
that
don't read it.
clearly.
Yeah.
But it's, you either have to choose all or nothing, and it's kinda like,
Yeah, but are you buzzing through it and not catching
Nope.
that? Can it be in larger print? Can it be highlighted?
We
Can
have
it
the
be
most
something-
people catch it, I mean, there's 220, so I think they do catch it.
we can't, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's just you can't choose.
It's, right, I think what Polly's looking to see is that, you know, it's the yearbook,
can't
but
pick
not the
and choose.
internet, that's where you can't guarantee that. Which is why if you're in the yearbook, then your picture is now available.
Yeah,
Yeah, so once,
it's a little thing, but it's,
yeah, so once you make exceptions, then you're opening up that liability, cause then when you make exceptions for this, then there's exceptions for this, and then you just kind of go down that road.
Well, if the exception were just strictly to that student portrait, that was not the.
Oh, I agree with that, I hate to
student
see,
portrait
no,
that was taken by Mare Studios.
I already agreed with you,
And
I
not
think
the
that
kids.
having kids
But
not in the
you're
yearbook.
having a different conversation.
We're having a
You're
different
talking
conversation
about-
here.
She's talking about the internet,
Yes, yes,
you're talking about the yearbook.
yes, I think there's a workaround for the yearbook, and I think it would be, I would not be happy if I thought a
Right.
child didn't get their picture in the yearbook, I think
Because
there's a
even if you
workaround
have
on
the
that,
yearbook,
but I don't know how we do that opt-out with the internet, I don't know how that
right,
works.
that's the piece. Yours is, your question is the easier question. I think what Polly's looking to say is, you know, is that, I wanna be in the yearbook, but I wanna ensure that this photo doesn't end up online.
Right.
I
not
can't
ensure,
get
but
the
just
Well,
that
it
the,
isn't
that
sure.
the Chariho district will make a good faith effort not to public, or
I can't.
publish and use my child's likeness.
I can't,
you know,
we can't guarantee that, because everybody who walks out of here with a yearbook can do whatever they want with
Sure
it,
they can.
Number one.
Sure.
Number two, I don't know whether the Charleston, Richmond, or Hopkinton Police Department do. I know that one police department in the past, the police department has bought a yearbook because that's how they make the six pack. For, you know, can you pick out the person who, you know, assaulted you? And the pictures come out of the high school, the pictures for young people come out of the high school yearbook.
Look, the Chariho School District has internet websites. It has Instagram, Facebook, they have pages that they publish from the admin building or staff. And I don't think it's too much to ask of a parent to say, just don't put my student's likeness, put that gate down. Just for that, when you go on the internet to take this video you just took in culinary, if my son is in it and the parent doesn't want that child on the internet, you cut the video before they show that.
And you
Publish
can-
it. That's it.
You can do that.
They already do
You
that.
can do that, but you need a person who is going to know that of the 5 kids making scrambled eggs, it's the third one from the left who doesn't want his picture in.
And the teachers do. And they know that.
Well, now we're putting it back on
That's
the
a lot of
teachers.
responsibility.
We all get a list.
They already have the responsibility. The work is coming from her calling me every year, and for me having constant conversations with different teachers. Yes, they can have pictures, but don't put them on the internet. And she's finding it the same on her end too. So then there's an issue of a lot of time spent spinning our wheels doing things that if maybe we put a line in the opt-out at the beginning of the year, then that could take a lot of work away from what the teachers might have to do, the parents calling the teachers back, so on and so forth. That's what my ultimate goal was.
Can I just clarify? My understanding is that they do put down the wall, right? If you opt out of pictures, they put down the wall, no pictures will be taken. But if you open that wall for some things and a picture is taken, who can guarantee where that picture goes?
Really probably.
It's very
I
hard
don't
to say
care, but
only
it's the
goes
same
to
But
the
those
yearbook.
pictures are being taken,
They
even if they're
are.
on the do not photograph list, because I'm getting the picture from Mare Studios of that portrait that was taken of them, and that's what started me to realize. I would have parents asking, oh, I forgot, did I buy a yearbook? And I look, and they did buy a yearbook, yes, and then I think about it, like, wait a minute, your child's on the do not photograph list.
I get the
So I'm not
portrait
putting
thing,
them in
but
the
that's,
yearbook.
we're not talking about portraits though, we're talking about like in the kitchen at CTC.
I'm talking about portraits.
Right, yeah, I know, but with this specifically right now, we're talking about candid photos that are taken. Obviously,
I do those too.
if their photo is taken, that's
shouldn't be
different
taken.
than if their photo shouldn't be taken at all. We're talking about if you've opted out of having your picture taken in school activities, then Polly wants it omitted from any online publication, but permitted for the yearbook. And I think
And
what
that's
I'm
what's
hearing
fine
from
with
the
the parents
district,
that I
what I'm
reached
hearing
out
from the
to.
district is that it's a liability issue of taking the photo at all. This district, these activity photos is a liability, so it's much more less burdensome to say, we can't take a photo of this child because we can't put their photo anywhere. But
What we're
what I would
finding, there's a
suggest-
large cohort of parents and I guess staff on the other end who think it's kind of silly, all or nothing. So say.
I understand that,
your
and I'm
son's
asking you how. You haven't said yet how to do it. The form doesn't relieve any liability that the district is concerned about. I haven't found any solution that's a balance. I get what you're saying. Could it be that you can submit photos to the year? Can you submit photos to the yearbook? If your
Candid.
child is not,
Yeah, oh yeah.
Not
so
your
that,
senior
to me,
portraits
that's
or
the
your
solution.
portraits
Okay,
they
if
come
you've
from
told the
Mare-
district they
Mare
can't
Studios.
publish, you've opted out of photos, maybe then it's the students that know it's for the yearbook only, that they can be submitted to the yearbook.
But once it's in the yearbook, kids can take photos of that and put it on.
That's fine, that's kids. What I'm
Yeah.
saying
Or
is.
adults, or their parents, or
Yeah,
their
so
aunts,
the
their
district,
grandparents.
the
So there
Chariho
is still a
School
way.
District, we should be able to opt out of the Chariho School District reproducing our children's likeness or video on the district website or their Instagram page or any of the Chariho District, social media. It's different than, oh, look, I got a photograph, I got the yearbook here, here's my friend, I'm taking a picture and I'm emailing it to him because I think it's a funny picture. That's different, that's the kid doing kid stuff, and there's parents and families that need to protect everything. I recognize that, I respect that, they opt out of everything. But there's a whole cohort in the middle who, they want their kids' pictures and everything, even the candids going down the hallway, hanging out with their friends, and they want that to show up in the yearbook when they graduate, or 8th grade, whenever they get their achievement yearbooks. But they just don't want the district to use their child like, hey, oh, I'm looking through the Chariho website, there's a picture of my son's face.
Polly, you've made yourself
So
very clear. I understand what you want.
There's a difference
Yeah,
in
no,
the middle.
I get it, yeah, and I can understand the difficulty in that. I can understand why you want to opt out, and I can understand why you want to opt into this specific thing. But what I'm trying to express is that the district has a liability incurred when it's one or the other, and it seems like an administrative burden. So I'm trying to find a solution, a how to allow you to have both. And I'm thinking that is to have students submit the photos. I know I get tons of calls from the PTO, submit your photos from this event, submit the photos. I think that would be the way you can find the happy medium, is to submit photos that you want included.
unfortunately, I don't think, there's quite a few children that their parents wouldn't do that for.
Yeah.
That's the reality of it.
Yeah.
And those kids will miss out on the pictures that they could have in the yearbook. So I wouldn't wanna see that happen to one kid.
Right.
I just think there's, you know, just make a good faith effort not to reproduce my child's likeness on the internet through the school district. It's really, it's not difficult, it's kind of just a very pointed thing. Yeah, Kathleen?
I think everybody understands the concept, so I think you need to, as a school committee member, we need to get from legal, can we do this legally? Can we do this in a way that indemnifies the school district? Because for all of your good intentions and you saying that if your child's picture was in the yearbook, you don't mind another child taking his picture and sending it back and forth, I appreciate that, and that's how I would feel, but that's not how every parent would feel, and so we've gotta think of every worst case scenario. So John, is there an opportunity to accomplish this?
And the answer is, you can do it, but there is an administrative burden. And again, the place that I have experience doing it was not with photographs in Little Compton, it was with phone numbers. And they put together a school directory, and it was a lot of extra work for the school secretary of who's in and who's not in, and who changes their mind about, you know, oh, wait a minute, I'm not on the list for the, you know, for the kids' play dates and so forth, so now put my name into it and so forth. That being said, I think that there are some workarounds. I described one at the 11th grade assembly, you know, that is not going to create a lot of administrative burden to pass out a flyer, collect them, and a member of the yearbook staff can sort them.
The yearbook staff is me at this point.
And that's, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
So Holly, would you be able to write down what you're looking for? Could you come up, draft language that you're looking for to accomplish what you'd like to accomplish, bring it to the entire committee, because you guys are gonna have to make a decision if you wanna burden someone administratively or not.
Well, I understand what you're saying. I think the administrative burden already exists because every family is given that opt-out form and it's returned to the school, I guess, in the best faith effort of all families. They return it to the school.
But it's one decision.
It's one decision,
Yeah.
so what happens
As
is you get.
opposed to you're making it two.
Yeah, and the
I-
yearbook might be
I
three.
want you to understand that, again, I'll guarantee you that you'll get, you know, elementary parents will say, I don't want my phone number in there. And I think that when people find out that politicians ask for the list of addresses, they'll say, I don't want my address in there.
Well, I would like to see it on the opt-out form as a third option, either opt-in, opt-out, or just have, you know, be mindful in the district when you publish anything on the internet. As adults, I think we can control that responsibility. It's part of the job description, I would think. But I think we've whittled this down to a fine nub anyways, so I will keep working. I will get that opt-in, opt-out policy, and I'll read through that. Maybe, Gina, would you be able to send me that? Because I don't think I've seen it for a couple of years since my
Form, I
Oh,
think.
opt-in, opt-out.
Yeah, the form that, on Power School.
Yeah,
You may be able to see it on your dashboard, but I'll send it.
okay.
Can you send it out to the
Holly,
committee?
thank you for bringing this to our attention.
Committee.
Holly,
Yeah, oh, thanks.
thanks for bringing it to our attention. It's not
Thanks.
something that I knew was an issue that was affecting kids, so I appreciate that.
It's affecting staff too.
Yeah.
I think I'm just kind of lighten the
It's good
burden
to
a
know.
bit on something
Yeah, and
so
I
silly.
appreciate the information about the portrait
Yeah.
as well.
Okay, so I'm gonna get that. All right, we'll move on to The next one, is everybody all set?
Mhm.
Thank
Policy for masks and masking, I requested to delete it.
Delete it?
Yep, the COVID, I don't know what RIDE's recommendation is on this. COVID's long past, face masks, so there was, a lawsuit that was brought against Rhode Island DOH, by a group of parents, and it was against the face masks because a lot of parents did not believe that they, according to Dr. Fauci himself, they don't work. So the lawsuit settled, I can't say we, because I was not in that first tier group. But Rhode Island Department of Health settled after discovery and was never able to produce any information that they had that face masks work. So the Rhode Island Department of Health told everyone in the state that they must and should, and they actually backed down and said, well, we, you know, in their wording it was mandated. Well, that was really just a suggestion, but they kind of made everybody believe that it was mandated. It was quite a beautiful thing to see. So this is entitled Policy for Face Masks and Face Coverings COVID-19. COVID-19's gone, and the thing that I worry about the most is the safety of the students. You have people coming in with face coverings on. You can't see who they are. You can't identify them. You can probably only identify them by their height, but there's no height marks here at the doorway. It's just not a safe situation for kids.
Well, we can't deny a person wearing a face mask if they want to wear one.
If it's a safety issue, it should. Somebody's covering their face and coming into a school with underage children it's a safety issue.
But people are doing it for health reasons too.
Yes.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
like at Walmart
And
and.
it's supposed to be safe for them, it's
Yeah.
to be safe for them.
There are people who are doing it for health reasons,
I know they believe.
and there are people who also do it for religious reasons. And I think that the last thing that the school committee would want to do is to adopt a policy
Nope.
that contravenes a person's religion.
No, we're not talking about adopting any policies. COVID's over. We don't need this policy. We don't need to have it sitting in the list of policies. And to be honest, if somebody is wearing a mask because they're worried about their health being in a crowd, and the mask isn't gonna help. I know a lot, I have this conversation with my dad all the time, he's 80. But
40 years in healthcare.
I urge, healthcare's different. Healthcare, honestly, we can get down to the nits and everything about that and why they're used in healthcare. That's a different story. We're in a school, and we need to think about the safety of the students above everything else. And there's no policy that we're gonna say you can't come in to the school if you have one on, obviously, but we don't need this.
Okay, so I'm confused, because now you're like,
So am I.
yeah, so, because I thought you
Yeah,
said,
well-
so I was just gonna say, okay, so this policy covers, I believe, the students and the teachers when they're in school,
COVID-19.
COVID-19 in school. And I agree with you, there's no more COVID-19, well, there's still COVID-19, but, yeah, so, but we can't, I agree with the second thing too, what you just said, is that we can't stop people from coming into the school with masks on if they need it for health reasons.
It's not, I'm on the school committee, that's up to the admin and
Okay,
whoever's running the building.
so
That's
could you reiterate then, the purpose to get rid of this is to what?
Well,
Because you started saying because people come into the building, they have face masks on and it could be scary and whatnot, so now I'm confused, so what is so you wanna get rid of it only because you don't think we need it anymore?
That's absolutely.
That's what I'm
Okay,
hearing.
so is that what
That's
you're
I'm
we
saying?
don't need it, first of
Okay.
all, because of
Okay.
COVID.
Just wanna understand.
My second justification
Mhm.
was the Rhode Island Department of Health couldn't And I wrote here, cannot provide peer-reviewed data even suggesting that masks work. And so if our own health department can't provide that data, and it's been years, then I think maybe we should just take this out of the mix. Let people decide for themselves, personal liberty. If you wanna wear a mask, go ahead, but then the administration has to say, I can't see that person's half of their face, I'm gonna have to stay at an angle where I can see them better. You know, there's just other precautions you're gonna take.
So I think the only reason we had to do it was because to get our ESSER funds, it was a requirement as part of the federal, law. I mean, now that it doesn't exist, so I think what you're asking is that it be deleted from the school committee policies. Cause I would just have to double check, I don't think, cause all our ESSER funds are spent, that there's any other thing I'm not thinking of, but.
That's not
I
required.
just wanna make sure that if there's a person, for example, who is of a Muslim background and they wear a veil.
Or a mask.
Right, but you could do that without this, this is just saying.
Well,
Yeah.
it's a little,
That's personal.
I
but
share
that's-
Linda's
yeah.
confusion
Yeah.
in that Ms. Hopkins has indicated that wearing a face mask at all is dangerous and that it's.
I did not say that at all.
Yes,
I
you
didn't say
did.
it's
Yes, you did.
dangerous.
Yes.
It's a safety issue, and it is a
Right.
factor for safety. I didn't say it's dangerous.
And that's exactly what you said. And I'm saying that there are people who, for sincerely held religious beliefs, will wear a covering on their face. There are also people who disagree with you with regard to the health concerns. For example, when Superintendent Ritchie was doing chemo, he wore a mask. And if there is a student who is doing chemo and wants to wear a mask, I wanna make very sure that our policy
Or even an
allows
employee.
them to wear a mask.
That's not, this is just
It's just,
obsolete.
yeah, it's obsolete. It's for COVID-19, specifically says that at the top. And whatever we might feel about how masks work or don't work is moot. We don't need this. Get this out. We need the staff and the administration to be able to say, look, if somebody a Muslim is wearing face coverings, or somebody is wearing a mask for health reasons, they can handle it. I have no doubt about that. But for us as a school committee, we don't need this.
So just to be sure, you're saying this is irrelevant now and moot, and that's why you wanna get rid of it, not about the safety stuff.
I don't, can I get acknowledged, please? I don't see any
Sorry.
reason to remove it. Yes, it does say COVID-19. No one in this room can assure us that that won't happen again. If you read the latest news, it's possible. But it can be changed when it needs to be changed. But it's how do we respond to pandemics in the school, and this is one of the policies. I do not see any reason to remove a policy that already exists, even though it's dormant right now, or could be dormant. Anyway, that's my feeling.
Change the title.
We've never removed policies, have we? I don't
Sure,
think.
you can get rid of it.
I know you can, but,
This one was for COVID-19.
well,
And
just
I think
cross
just
out
cross it out.
COVID-19.
Is the governor still working off of the emergency? I think he might.
Oh, no.
I mean, I view the news regularly, and I honestly cannot say that I have read or heard anything about COVID and its variations of being eradicated. So
I haven't
don't
read that
say
either.
it's not.
Yeah.
It is, and if you wanna get into an argument about whether masks are an effective way of spreading it, that's another discussion, but either way, we're still talking about COVID.
Well, I will say I will not vote to remove this from our policy. It's dormant, but it's no big deal to leave it there, as far as I'm concerned.
But Gina, were you saying that if somebody wants to wear a mask, then you don't need the policy in particular, like, they could still do it if
The
they want
policy had to be created simply because in order for us to ask ESSER funds, we had to comply with the
This-
federal mandates.
This
Okay.
policy,
And so
right?
we don't have ESSER funds anymore, so. it's-
No, because I don't want to pick out a turn, I'm trying to double check, but my understanding is we've expended all our funds,
Yeah.
so that this policy would not be required any longer. I don't
Okay.
wanna, I wanna just.
Gotcha.
But let me say, it was required because of the safety, the health safety of the children. And nobody in this room can guarantee that that will never happen again. So removing a policy that already exists, these policies take a lot of work to put together. And just to take it out and throw it in the trash, I think is not the right thing to do. Let it sit dormant. I'm sure people don't even recognize it right now, but I can't see removing it. So do we take a vote, or what? Oh,
I'll make a motion to delete the policy.
Wouldn't more,
To remove the
You'd have to
policy.
send
No,
it
no, we have
back.
to send it to the school committee.
Yeah.
Okay, can I just ask another question, please, Chair?
Mhm.
Are there any other, like in our health and safety, or any, that addresses things to this nature that's not as specific as COVID? Or
In our health policy, I have to check.
Our 504 policy.
a 504 policy, okay, I'm just kind of,
For
or
health.
even.
We do have some medically fragile
That's what
children
I'm
sometimes,
thinking,
or
things
have
that are
different
not
treatments,
health,
or even their
504
parents.
For health reasons, okay. And then at some point, to this gentleman's, I mean, we don't know, we hope that we don't go back to pandemic whatevers, but, it would be easy enough to reinstate the policy, correct?
Yep.
At some
Not if
point?
you make it go away, but
No,
then you'd have to rewrite
then
it.
we have to rewrite it, yes.
It's all here. Yeah,
It's easier to leave it
no.
and change words.
well, wouldn't that guidance come down from the,
They-
from like the
Yeah.
CDC and all that
Let's
stuff,
state on
right?
this.
Right?
Then you
Is that
have
how
to
that
rewrite
works?
it.
Yeah, well, this is a 5-year-old policy too, so it's either we should be reviewing it and updating it or making a decision. And it's kind of, I mean, all the writing will be there, should we need another one to, I don't know, policy for face masks and face coverings, bird flu. You definitely wanna change all the, we'd have to go through the rigmarole of changing the wording anyway.
But the framework is here.
Yeah,
And it's
it's
a
always
4-year-old policy. It was revised 4 years ago.
Just
Yeah,
had
so-
an idea.
My suggestion would be just to take out anything about, mandates or requirements, and we could leave in things like, we abide by guidelines set forth by RIDE and RIDO relating to public health.
Hmm.
I don't know.
I think a lot of parents got annoyed with Rido telling us what to do, and then after years of
But it is true that we would have to abide.
court-appointed.
That's why this policy exists, because we had to abide by
Yeah.
RIDO and federal law to have kids in school and to receive funding. So even if it bothers people, that's true that the district has to do that. So I'm just trying to find a common ground.
I would like to go back to one of your initial statements, that you said it's a safety concern if people are wearing masks in the buildings. Could you explain that a little bit to me, because.
It's a safety concern, and I've seen.
But we have.
Kids don't wear hoods, why don't kids wear hoods in schools?
Let her finish her question.
But we have, they have to buzz in, we have to see who they are coming into the building, and if someone's coming in and they're wearing a mask, I don't think we should have the right to say you can't come in because you have a mask on.
I never said that.
But how are
Kids
you
can-
going to abide by the safety portion of it?
That's a kid with an ID coming in, getting buzzed in.
Oh, no.
What if we have
Parents?
something at the, auditorium where people are all coming in? Like, a couple meetings ago, there were several people with masks, but
So you're saying that they shouldn't be
it's
allowed
a
to come in?
safety, no. Of course they should be allowed to come in, but it's a safety issue. So now It's just like kids walking down the halls, why can't they keep their hoods pulled up?
I think we need
They're
to.
walking down the halls, my son loves his hood on, he's,
Oh, that's another issue.
you know?
I think we
It's the
should
same
stick,
kind of thing.
I know when you started speaking and
It's a
presented
safety
this, I
issue.
think you looped that in, but I think we need to stick to this, cause this policy is not that issue. So, that's okay if it's a concern, but it's just not this
So my
agenda
concern is
item.
that people will still be allowed to wear masks if they choose to, or if they need to.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I'll make a motion to, send this to the school committee. I would like to remove it from the policies.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Get to the school committee. Okay, thanks.
Opposed?
And opposed, Donna Chambers is opposed,
I got it.
sorry.
Thank you.
Previous policy review request updates. I don't know.
The policy request had to come from the school.
Policies for discussion. Okay, that was me. I had asked for a list of previous ones that we were working on. I know you were working on the student liaison. And just to get an updated list of where we were for those.
Actually, everything that we had
Updates.
is on this agenda, except, Jess is ready for school committee, the student liaison, because it's been reviewed by legal, and it was already reviewed by this committee. So that's ready for the school committee, and other than that, you had held on a library media.
Yep, and that was for maybe the next meeting.
And the homeschool policy, we never finished that.
Our homeschool policy is
It's
legal.
fine.
There was no,
Yeah.
we did it with,
I wouldn't go back. Okay,
it was kind of a moot
so we
point.
just didn't do anything.
Any future policies for discussion? I'll put the library media policy in that, future policies.
Yeah, that one's been on.
And I will be coming back with the AI, more information on the AI one. And if the opt-in and out,
So the artificial intelligence, if there's something specific that you want me to share with the SITs, because that'll have to go through review.
absolutely, but let me get something put together. I'll pull from here, pull from there.
You know the homework's gonna be in September,
just
right,
would-
Laura?
Yeah,
I'm
you're
gonna
gonna
put
come back
that
with
on
that.
The reason why I
the
believe that
after
RIDE has not
first.
done, has not promulgated is because in the big beautiful bill, states and local government are prohibited from adopting any rules or regulations regarding AI. So RIDE's not, my suspicion is that RIDE is not spending a lot of time writing rules and policies, because if the big beautiful bill is enacted, there will be, it will all come out of somewhere in Washington.
So just for the, I mean, I know a lot of people here, since we've got a crowd, and the policy subcommittee has a few new members. So typically what happens is, right after budget season, we start back up, we're a little earlier this year, because usually we wait till graduation, but that's okay. This was important, so we usually do policies up through, depending on executive sessions. Is that still what you want, probably before the meetings? Because then we hold again in December, once we start budget.
That's fine, yeah.
Okay, so do you wanna do the next one at the June 17th before? If there's no executive session, do you guys wanna meet again?
No,
Or you
that's
wanna wait
okay.
till July?
July.
Okay, I just want a sense of,
July.
Seems like the majority says July.
no, that's fine.
You're okay
This
with
is your
that?
June meeting.
June has started and it's the shortest month.
The July meeting.
Feels that way.
Good.
I make a motion to adjourn.
No, you always do.
I'll second that.
I know Kylie's-
All those in favor? Okay, so